Thank you for tuning in. This is Lance, your host of Strange Bites, where we take real science and wrap it up in a creative story and serve it in 15 minutes or less. If you're enjoying the show, please hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Give me a follow on social media. And now, let's jump into the next bite. Let's imagine you're on a research ship rolling in heavy Pacific swells, about 50 miles off the rugged coast of Newport, Oregon. The weather's gone sideways. Your original plans are on hold and the sonar screen suddenly starts lighting up with strange rising plumes of bubbles from the pitch black depths below. You send down an underwater robot on a tether, and what it shows you stops everyone cold. Not just bubbles. A powerful jet of warm fluid blasting out of a hole in the seafloor like a fire hose. Something that had never been seen before in quite this way. This is the story of Pythia's Oasis, a real scientific discovery that gives us a rare, direct peek into the hidden plumbing of one of the world's most dangerous earthquake faults. So grab your headphones, dim the lights, and let's dive deep in episode 41, The Water Jets of Pythia's Oasis. It all started almost by accident in 2014 during a University of Washington research cruise on the RV Thomas G. Thompson. The team, including then student Brendan Phillip and oceanographers like Evan Solomon and Deborah Kelly, was out studying the seafloor off Central Oregon. Bad weather forced them to hang out in one spot. While they waited, the ship's sonar picked up unexpected columns of bubbles rising from roughly 3/4 of a mile down. Regular methane seeps are common along this coast, thousands of them. They show up as bubble plumes, but these look different, stronger, more persistent. They lowered a remotely operated vehicle, basically a high-tech underwater drone with bright lights, multiple cameras, temperature probes, and sampling arms. As it descended through the crushing darkness, the team watched live video feeds back on the ship. What they saw was spectacular and completely unexpected. Instead of a gentle seep or typical bubble stream, there was a focused, high-velocity jet of fluid shooting straight up from a small hole in the sedimented floor. Described by the scientists as like a fire hose, sediment and methane bubbles were caught in the powerful flow. The fluid was noticeably warmer than the near-freezing surrounding seawater, about 9 degrees Celsius or 16 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. That might not sound like much on land, but in the deep ocean, it's a huge clue. Later analysis back in the lab showed the chemistry was wildly different from normal seawater or typical cold seeps. This fluid was low in salt, almost freshwater-like in places, extremely enriched in elements like boron and lithium, and depleted in others like chloride, potassium, and magnesium. It had the fingerprint of water that had been cooked and squeezed deep underground for a very long time. Calculations and follow-up surveys pointed to the source roughly 2.5 miles, about 4 kilometers beneath the seafloor, right near the plate boundary. The fluid is coming from pore water compaction, sediments being squished and water squeezed out, plus mineral dehydration reactions, basically hot rocks sweating out bound water as temperatures rise. The spot sits on the Cascadia subduction zone, a 620-mile-long megathrust fault where the Juan de Fuca oceanic plate is slowly diving beneath the North American continental plate. Friction locks the plates together for centuries, stress builds, eventually it releases in a massive earthquake. The last full margin rupture was in 1700, a magnitude 9 event that dropped parts of the coast, drowned forest, and sent a tsunami across the Pacific. Here's where the fluid gets really interesting. Pore fluid pressure along the fault acts a bit like air on air hockey tables. High pressure reduces friction, making it easier for the plates to slip. Low pressure lets them lock tighter, building more stress for the next big release. Pythia's Oasis appears to be draining overpressure fluid from deep along the fault, possibly via a permeable vertical fault called the Alvin Canyon Fault. It's like a natural pressure relief valve operating at an unusually high flow rate, orders of magnitude higher than other seeps along the margin. The site has been active for at least 1,500 years, spanning multiple past earthquakes. It supports thriving chemosynthetic communities, tube worms, sponges, bacterial mats that live off the chemicals in the venting fluid rather than sunlight. Multiple vents were mapped along a sedimented promontory, and the bubbles and fluid have been observed consistently over years of surveys. The technology that made this possible is a beautiful mix of old-school seamanship and cutting-edge tools. Pole-mounted multi-beam sonar for wide area mapping and plume detection, ROVs for close-up eyes, hands, and sensors in the deep, chemical and isotopic analysis in shore labs like forensic detective work on the fluid's journey, temperature probes and flow measurements, seismic reflection profiles that reveal the layered structure below the seafloor. All of it working together to turn a weather delay into one of the most insightful windows we have into the deep subduction zone processes. Researchers are careful to note this discovery does not mean the big one is imminent, and it doesn't change the current probabilistic risk assessments for the Pacific Northwest. It's a natural, long-running feature, but it does help scientists better understand why locking and slip behavior varies along the fault, and how fluids influence the whole system. Similar events may exist but are hard to spot without targeted surveys. So what does Pythia's Oasis really mean for us? On one level, it's a humbling reminder that even in the 21st century, the deep earth still holds profound secrets. We can split atoms and peer into the early universe. Yet right off our own coastline lies a dynamic high-pressure system we're only beginning to read like a medical chart. This vent is Earth's own stethoscope, letting us listen to processes happening miles down that directly affect millions of lives in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. It forces us to confront our relationship with a living, restless planet. The same tectonic forces that build mountains and recycle crust can, in minutes, reshape coastlines and send walls of water racing across oceans. Understanding the role of fluids, these hidden lubricants and pressure valves, could one day improve models of where and how stress accumulates. That knowledge might translate into better monitoring networks, earlier warnings, or smarter building codes, and preparedness. In a region that knows it will face another great Cascadia earthquake, every new data point is potentially life-saving. Deeper still, it blurs the lines between geology, chemistry, and biology. Life thrives in the most extreme conditions because of these leaks. Chemosynthetic ecosystems powered by Earth's internal heat and chemistry rather than the sun. It echoes the idea that our planet is not a static rock, but a dynamic interconnected system where deep processes shape surface life. And surface life, us, is now trying to understand and perhaps gently influence those processes. Pythia's Oasis carries the spirit of its namesake, the ancient oracle who spoke from vapors rising through a fault. It whispers questions rather than easy answers. How much of the future is already written in the slow grind of plates and the slow escape of fluids? Are we clever enough to read these signs without panic or complacency? And in an age obsessed with control and prediction, what wisdom comes from accepting that some forces operate on timescales far beyond human lifetimes? This strange bite from the abyss doesn't predict doom. It offers perspective, wonder, and a call to stay curious. The more we learn about these hidden systems, the better we can live wisely on a planet that is always moving beneath our feet. That's it for today's bite. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Give me a follow on social media. And until next time, stay strange and question everything.